So I thought it was going to be fun to take you with me on a photo shoot up in the mountains, and let me show you how that works. I just took my van from France to Italy because I spend like 50% of my life living in a tent on an expedition or road tripping around in my van, going climbing around in Europe, in the Alps mostly. So this is my van, and I parked it just next to the mountains. When it comes to camera gear, the first couple of mountains I climbed, I brought my DSLR with a 24-70 lens, 2.8 aperture, and it was almost 4 kilos, and I dragged it up to 6,000 meters and above. I think I took like 15 photos or something like that, so that's never gonna happen again. What I'm bringing today is my Lumix G100. It's a new camera that I've been using the last couple of months, because when I go on an expedition or a climb, I really like to have as small gear as possible. And the Lumix G100 is just 412 grams, which is perfect. And you can also turn the lens so it goes in a little bit, which means it fits perfectly in your pockets. And that's really good for climbing. Okay, I'm packed and ready, and I'm gonna take the lift to the mountain hut. Usually there's not a lift, so it's luxury today, because usually you have to walk maybe a full day to get to the mountain hut, but if there is a lift, you want to take it. Save your energy for something else. I'm in Italy, so you need to wear this every time you're inside. We are at 3,400 meters, and right now I'm taking an elevator 80 meters down to the mountain hut. That's where I'm gonna stay tonight. This is where I'm going up tomorrow, up in the clouds there, Dent du Geant, 4,000 meter high, and that's where I'm gonna do the photo shoot. So I'm gonna take pictures of some climbers while I climb this mountain, and that means I have to climb it too. So this is where I'm staying tonight, in Torino hut. This is the gear room where you leave all your sharp stuff, like the ice axe, crampons, your rope, things like that. There's so many people because the Torino hut is fully booked this weekend. And when I've done this, I'm gonna go upstairs, meet some friends, hang out for a while, and then have a 3-course dinner and go sleep in a room with 16 other people. That's how you do it in the mountain huts. So this is my room, and I'm staying with 3 Americans, I guess.
No,
2 Americans. Yeah.
You are from America.
American.
Yes.
From Philadelphia.
Cool. And this is my bed. Here's where I'm sleeping tonight. And I actually have a blanket this time. I didn't have that last time I was here. Last time I was here, I had to sleep in my sleeping bag liner, and it was very, very cold. So I'm happy with the blanket, but I actually brought a sleeping bag this time, because you never know. It's 8 in the evening and it's time to go to bed, because we're gonna wake up super early. We have breakfast 4 in the morning. We're gonna do what's called an alpine start, which means basically go up in the middle of the night and climb a mountain. And we will see how good I can sleep here. We are on altitude, and it's always a little bit hard to sleep on altitude. It's quite comfortable sleeping in a mountain hut, actually. I mean, you can do a bivy, which means that you sleep on the mountain without a tent, only in your sleeping bag. I did that last week in the Tatra Mountains in Poland. We got a visit by a bear in the middle of the night. It was really, really scary. So me and my partner, we woke up and we decided to keep climbing all night until we got to a mountain hut and became safe like 4 hours later. It was crazy because the bear was just next to us, and we left all the food and the kitchen equipment behind. We just put our sleeping bags in the backpacks and we started climbing a crazy ridge in the dark. So that something can happen when you're on a photo shoot in the mountains. Some animal can come and maybe they want to eat you. I don't know if it wanted to eat us, but it definitely wanted to eat our food, for sure. It's 4 in the morning and it's time for breakfast. I have to be honest with you, this is not the best breakfast in the world. But it's food. If I slept well, sort of, for a couple of hours, and then I woke up and I was just lying awake in the bed waiting for the alarm to ring. I mean, we put the alarm at 3:45, so it's pretty early. Okay, breakfast is done. Now it's time to go down to the gear room and put on all the gear. It's really dark, but it's not too cold, and it's a clear sky, no winds, so the weather and the conditions are perfect. Sun rises around 6 or 7, 6:30 maybe, and it's still 5 o'clock, so that's why it's so dark. So this is the climbing team for today. So I'm just at the beginning of the glacier, and here is where we rope up, and we go together in rope parties because we need to have the rope between us in case someone will fall into a crevasse. Then that's the way to prevent someone from disappearing forever. The thing is that there's a lot of people climbing the same thing as us today, so we want to go ahead of them so we don't stand in line all day, because then it's going to take forever. And we are off. The trick is to not walk too fast on the approach and waste all your energy, because you have a demanding climb to do. So you want to get there fresh and strong. And this is something I see a lot of people do. Like, you want to get to the location, so you start hiking and you walk as fast as you can, pushing really hard, you get really sweaty, and when you stop you get cold because the sweat is gonna make you wet. And also, when you carry a lot of equipment, it can't be nice with a heavy backpack to push that hard. The trick when you do alpine climbing is to walk nice and steady, so you can walk all day without having to stop to catch your breath. And if you do stop, you stop for a minute or two, drink a little bit, take something to eat, and then you continue. The reason we do alpine starts is because of the conditions in the mountain. Bad weather often comes in the afternoon, and right now the snow is frozen, it's firm, it's easy to walk on, it don't fall apart under your feet, and that's how we like it. This is the way we're going up. A long way up. You can't even see it. So we are just gonna scramble up now for a couple of hundred altitude meters. And this is the dangerous part because there is a lot of teams ahead of us, 6 teams ahead of us. And there's a lot of rockfall. It's very unstable this late in the season, which means that when people are above you, they can kick down rocks. And that can be really, really dangerous. So right now we're actually waiting for them to get a little bit higher because we don't want to get hit by the rocks. Last year I almost died in a rockfall on the Grand Jurassic Traverse, so I want to avoid that this time. Look how beautiful! Sunrise over Mont Blanc. We are at the base of the climb. And it took us almost, it took us like 2.5 hours to get here. And I'm really excited. It's the 5th time I climbed this mountain. And that's good because I really know exactly where I want to do my photos. Because if you go into a territory that you don't know, you have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out where's the best part, where's the best location to do the photography. And I don't have to do that here. So this climb is not super difficult because there's a lot of fixed ropes, but you still have to know what you're doing. Like a regular hiker shouldn't go climb this without any experience. And the fixed ropes make it easier to climb. It's gonna be a line because there's a lot of teams on the route today. And when you're done climbing this, you rappel down for a couple of 100 meters, and sometimes it's even free hanging. It's a really nice rappel down. So yeah, we're gonna wait for our turn. It's a little bit of a line here for the start. Take a snack and a drink. That's really important to drink and eat enough so you have energy. Because if you're finished, it's really hard to climb. So always eat a little bit as long as you stop. Yeah, see you soon. I'm gonna have a snack.
Climbing on high altitude is hard, it takes your breath away. We climbed in 2 teams and we took turns leading the climb. I did the first pitch and my partner Paulina did the second pitch.
So I just made it up this steep part, and it's a heavy move. And now my friend is on his way up too, just putting in a protection. In case he falls, that cam is gonna hopefully hold the fall.
Ain't gonna hold no fall because there ain't gonna be no fall.
Exactly, but just in case. I think that's really important when you're up the mountains. Drop nothing. No rocks on people that climb after you. Don't lose your backpack. Once I was on a climbing partner on Matterhorn, and he dropped his backpack 2,000 meters down. He lose everything. And maybe you even have things that is important for your safety in your backpack. So what I did now is I attached my backpack to a carabiner to a bolt, just to make sure it's really safe while I take the picture. He's coming up here. He's still a little bit too far away. I want him to be a little bit closer, so he's not too small in the picture. When you shoot climbing, you prefer to be above the climber, so you can really get their face and the grips they hold on to, not just the ass, which is the case if you shoot from below. So let's just give him 1 more minute to come up here. I'm ready with my camera.
dry. There's nothing left down here. This is where you ski when you ski down the Valley Blanche. Almost nothing left.
When I'm photographing action, even if it's a concert or if it's a sport or just anything basically, I always look for the decisive moment. You know, when the thing you're photographing is on its edge, when something unexpected happens, or when the movement is exact, in the right place at the right time. That's what I'm looking for. And in climbing, it helps to know climbing, to know how people move on the wall, and to know what kind of movement and grips they are going for, so you can capture that exact move. Because otherwise it can look quite boring and stiff, and it can also look kind of not special. Like there's no action, something is missing, the pose isn't right, the move isn't right. So you need to know these things. And what's really difficult about climbing is that the climber will always turn in different directions. And it's hard to tell before, if you don't know the route, which direction they will be in. If the face is turned away but the body is in a good position, or if that angle gives you too much from below so you can't see the movement correctly. It's really, really tricky and difficult, especially in the mountains, because if you're at the crag, if you're in a short route on a wall or on a cliff or something like that, then you can ask the climber to repeat it many times and you'll be almost in the same spot all the time. But when you're up in the mountains, when you do alpine climbing, it's different because you move together all the way up to the top and then you go down again. You can't stop and repeat something too many times because you don't have time for that. Because in the mountains, time is an issue. There's a reason for alpine stars, and that's because bad weather often comes in the afternoon, and also because things like glaciers, snow bridges and snow gets worse during the day because of the sun. It warms up everything and it makes it more unstable. So snow bridges can collapse in the afternoon, and rock falls is more common in the afternoon when the snow that surrounds the rocks and the ice melts and it frees the rock and it falls down. So this is why you want to start in the middle of the night when it's cold outside, because you're protected by the cold, a little bit at least. And that's why you can't stop and do something over and over again when you're in the mountains. You have to keep moving, get up there as soon as possible and get down there as soon as possible. So it helps to climb a route that you know, because then you will have an understanding of where to take the best photos. And maybe if you're lucky, you can go in 2 teams and you don't have to climb in one team, and that gives you more freedom to move around a little bit. If you're just 3 people or 2 people, that's even more tricky to go to the right angles and the right location to get the shot, because you're always stuck with someone in a rope.
So we have a little problem.
Yeah.
We are not at the summit yet, and it's only 4 hours left to the last lift. I can't miss it, which means I have to abandon the climb here. Luckily we are 2 teams, so they can team up and climb 3 people the rest of the climb, and I will rappel down by myself and back to the start of the route, and then I go down and back to the Torino hut. It's gonna take me at least 3 hours, maybe more, so I really want to get going right now to not be in a position where I miss the last lift. Okay, so I decided to turn around, because when you do photo shoots it takes a lot of extra time to climb, and since we're on a deadline I need to catch the last lift. I really don't want to miss that, which means I want to go down, because there's just was too many people climbing up there, and I got some really good photos. It's too bad that I missed the summit though, because just right before the summit there's another summit, and when you stand on the real summit and take a picture to the 4th summit, that's just an amazing photo. But
I guess I have to do that next time when I'm not in a rush. So, going down the mountain, that's the dangerous part of it all actually. Because now we had all day with sun and the snow is melting, I can even hear it dripping. And that means that the water flushes the rocks with it. And it's so unstable and it's so dry, so this approach is super dangerous to go on. So I'm gonna have a snack, gear up with some energy, because I need to be really focused every step I take when I go down this mountain. I already done like 5 rappels to get to the base of the climb, and we were not that far from the summit. 1 more hour we would have get there, but as I said, I don't want to miss the last lift. Oh, you should have seen. It was just a super big rock fall down here. Exactly where I need to go. Scary. I just got down to the glacier, so now I'm gonna put my crampons on. Going down here is just pain in the ass. Super dangerous, super dry, loose rocks everywhere. I'm so happy I'm at the glacier. Now there's a dangerous part I need to cross really fast, and after that it should be a walk. Only problem is that my climbing partners are up there, so I have to go by myself, and that's something you don't want to do on a glacier. Luckily I've been on this glacier a couple of times. I've seen that there's no crevasses, what I can tell on my path, but you never know. That's the thing, you never know. But I'm gonna take a chance. Need to catch that lift. When I started going to the mountains, I didn't know how to climb. This was something that I needed to learn. And I did a lot of mountains by myself in the beginning for my project 49 Peaks, where I climbed the highest mountain in every country in Europe. But all the dangerous mountains with big glaciers or a little bit harder routes to get to the summit, I used guides. Because I didn't have the skills and the knowledge how to take care of myself on the mountain. And this is something you have to learn step by step, because if you go too fast, you might end up in trouble. And the consequences can be really high in the mountains. So what I did was I climbed with guides the first year, and after my big European project, I hired a guide for a day just to make him teach me how to lead by myself, so I could go on climbs with climbing partners, and I had the skills to build anchors, to protect us in the mountains while we were climbing, to know when to make this decision instead of that decision, to know more about conditions, weather, things like avalanches, rock avalanches, and stuff like that. And it was so good. But then you have to keep practicing this in different environments, on different mountains, in different conditions, and you always learn something new. There's always something more you can learn. You never get fully learned when it comes to being in the mountains. But something that I really notice is you have to be in the mountains to learn about them. So where I live in Stockholm, there is no mountains. We have a hill, it's 86 altitude meters, and there's nothing technical about it at all. So that might work for exercise and to train my legs for the mountains, but it doesn't work for substitute to the mountains. I have to be in the mountains to get this experience that I need to be able to do harder stuff, go to tougher mountains and things like this. I'm on my way to Switzerland for another climb. I'm going to climb 5 4,000 meter mountains tomorrow. Today is the approach. And I'm a little bit tired from yesterday. It was a long day. And I was in a rush to get down to make it to the last lift. And I made it with 30 seconds.